Hello to our viewers worldwide and welcome to Words and Music, hosted by yours truly, Loretta Alabons. It's September and there's no clear indication when live tours can resume and things are still uncertain. But this won't hinder us from connecting with our favorite artists and bands. This week, I catch up with 311, a rock band from Omaha, but found their fame and fortune in Los Angeles. A band that so far has released 13 albums, had 9 top 10 songs on the US alternative music charts, and played over 2,000 shows in their 30-year career. So, in this episode, I chat with 311's lead vocalist and guitarist Nick Hexum on the band's backstories and celebrating their 30th anniversary in 2020. So let's watch. How are things?
Things are good. Things are different, that's for sure. Should usually be on tour right now, but all shows canceled due to the pandemic. So mostly just raising kids.
Wow, that's great.
It's such a pivotal time to like teaching my youngest daughter to ride a bike and read. She's 5 years old. It's just, memories that last a lifetime.
We are concert promoters, Nick. We said to ourselves, we cannot just be doing nothing. So we came up with this idea, this Words and Music. And we said, here's a chance for us to connect with bands that we have not promoted. And for myself, I'm a big fan of the music of 311. Really
Thank
big
you.
fan. Oh my God. It's I've been listening to whenever, I'm in the US, I listen to K-Rock. So that's how I got introduced to 311. Love all the music. Love what whatever you're doing. So congratulations on 30 years. It didn't seem like 30 years to me.
Thank you. Well, it's nice to know that someone is thinking of us so far away. And it's because it's been 30 years, there's probably more people are aware of our band than we know. You know what I mean? Because we haven't had as much international touring as we'd like. We probably something to do with the fact that we're kind of an underground band. So only certain people know about us, but then the ones that do are pretty faithful and pretty passionate. So I definitely can't complain, but glad to know that we're on your radar and happy to be here.
Definitely. So, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you as well, because, I know that, you tour massively in the US. Have you toured internationally in your 30-year career?
In the 90s, we had some European tours. And then the last one was was around 2001 when we, so it's quite a long time ago, when we toured with Incubus. But the demand was very uneven. But then we've had some really fun touring experiences, like when we got to go to Indonesia, and we're surprised to know that there was a lot of people singing along, not just singing along to the singing parts, but also singing along to the musical parts, like singing the guitar lines back to us and stuff. So that was a great experience. We have played Japan quite a few times, but not lately. But we had this year being our 30-year anniversary was going to be a very busy touring year, and we had planned to have some international shows, as well as playing all 50 dates in 50 states. To play all 50 states this year was our plan, and we only got through about 6 or 7 states before, or maybe not even that many, but leading up to 311 Day, and then of course everything was canceled due to the pandemic.
What can the fans expect this year, being your 30th year, and since, all the tours have shut down? So what are you planning? What's the band planning?
Well, we are working on figuring out how to put out our documentary, which was in theaters on March 11th, 311 Day last year. We had a 1-day only showing of our documentary, which was very much about the community of our fans and what a special community had come up around us and what 311 means to them, and also a sort of a behind the scenes look at our lives. We're looking for the right way to stream that during this sort of downtime. And then we're also looking at doing some different streaming shows. And then we also have quite a few shows in the vault from previous times that we're looking to put out. But it's just taken some time to adjust, but there's some songwriting going on, but like I said, mostly I'm just focused on family and raising kids, because all of the kids' normal activities of school and summer camp and play dates is just not there. So I'm pretty much just home with my 3 girls and my wife, and definitely looking forward to hopefully returning to some normalcy next year. I think there is a safe way to have concerts, especially outdoors. But we'll see what the scientists say. We have to believe the scientists and just kind of take it as it comes and keep a positive attitude.
Definitely the positive attitude. That's what we're all doing here. So now, this year being your 30th year, I want to just talk about how 311 came together. And this is especially for the listeners and our viewers in Singapore and Asia.
I started playing piano when I was 5 years old. And even back then, I told my parents, I'm going to be a rock and roller. I never had any kind of backup plan of any sort. But then when I switched to guitar at about 12, that's when I started to really get organized in my playing. And then in high school, I had cover bands that were playing. We were playing alternative of the time, which was back then in the 80s. It would be like the Police and the English Beat, and mostly a lot of British music. And then we started getting into college rock, which was like The Cure and the Smiths. And then when I started to get into LA music, like Fishbone, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Jane's Addiction, that really blew my mind, that you could have so much energy in your music as well as technically proficient playing, and have jazz influence and Latin and funk and punk and rap and everything in one. That really, really appealed to us. So I had a cover band with Tim Mahoney, who's our guitarist in 311. And then as we graduated from high school, we linked up with Chad Sexton, who was our drummer. And that's when this kind of hybrid music sound was born. And it went from rock to all music in one, that, reggae and everything else.
I love the sound, I have to say. It has, just as a fan, of course, enjoying the music, it just has everything. Your rap, your rock, your reggae, your ska, your punk. And then, sometimes the songs go slow and then it's just a genius, I have to say, Nick. So I'm, like for my husband, he's American. So, and he's older than me naturally. So I'm introducing, like when we were doing this interview, because we work together, we're a mom and pop independent promoter. We work together. And so just as he has introduced all his bands to me, so I'm introducing all the bands I like to him.
Thank you. That's what we've always relied on, is word of mouth, because our music doesn't really fit in a genre. You can generally call it alternative, but back when we started, we were doing this rapping and the reggae, and so it really didn't fit on the alternative rock stations. So we really relied on word of mouth, just like what you were just saying, of people sharing their passion. And we did it through touring, where we would actually live on the road, where we would just had a little storage unit with our meager possessions, but mostly we just lived on the road, and it's just all relying on word of mouth. But we would definitely love to come down and play Singapore. So let's make that happen when safe to do so.
But we can't do anything right now. So we just have to wait for, whatever the government tells us. So when we can open up the shows and the borders again. Yeah, very trying times, very trying times. But the good thing that came out of this is, this Words and Music and speaking to you. Thank you for sharing the hybrid of the music. I want to talk about the self-titled album, the Blue Album. So that was definitely the album that exploded, right, for the band?
Yeah, that was our big breakthrough. And people think that it's our debut because it's self-titled, but that's actually our third album.
I wanted to ask you this also because the single Down was released like 14 months after the self-titled album. Why did it take so long for that single to be serviced to the radios or whatever, the promotion network?
Notoriously bad at picking singles. The only breakthrough songs that we've had have come on our third single. So generally, well, I think that was because I always felt that Down was the song, but because of the rapping, they wanted to go with something that would fit on radio more. So we came out with Don't Stay Home, which is all singing. And then we put out All Mixed Up, which is more rapping, singing, but still just singing. And then it was almost like, we'll just put out one more single with Down. And then it really blew up, and it got a buzz clip, which in 90s MTV land, a buzz clip was being sort of anointed as like the thing that everybody's listening to. So that was kind of our big moment, was we got a buzz clip on MTV, and then the shows went from like 500 people to 5,000 people almost overnight. And also the audience got way younger because it went from maybe college to high school age. But I was always just like, the more the merrier. There was some, early fans that'd be like, it's no fun to go to 311 shows now because now they're mainstream. And I'm like, but this doesn't change our approach. We're making music from the heart. And if more people like it, great. There's no elitism or like, we only want like the special people at our shows. We believe in totally openness, equality, tolerance, all walks of life, all sexual identities. Like, we're very all about inclusion and tolerance. But so yeah, that was it. A lot changed in that year of 1996, and then after that, we decided we wanted to make an album that was kind of defied expectations, because the Blue Album was very energetic, a lot of short songs, all high energy, good songs to play live. And then after that, we followed it up with Transistor, which was more experimental. It was what was influenced by trip hop, which was that like bands like Massive Attack and Portishead and Tricky, that was combining a lot of dub techniques with electronic production styles. And I mean, there's still some rockin' songs on there, but it was very much more eclectic. So, we got some backlash at that, but then that album eventually became one of our hardcore fans' favorite, I think that might be voted as people's favorite album now. But at the time, Transistor was slightly rejected as being a little too weird. But I always like to go for weird. I think that the most important thing is to keep crossing new frontiers as an artist, to keep finding new things that excite you, and just follow the muse wherever it may lead. So weird is good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never considered the music weird. It was just so amazing, like so energetic. And yeah, one of the bands I watch at those times. I, listen to the music and also watch a lot of videos. And one video that I like watching a lot, Nick, is Flowing. And I love the video for that. Can you tell us about that video so I can feature it on the show?
Okay, please do. Flowing was probably our biggest video budget. I mean, there was a cast of at least 100 people, and they were all okay. The song Flowing is kind of about insomnia, and when your mind is like, you just can't turn your thoughts off and your mind is racing, and it's almost like kind of verging on like mental illness, kind of some stuff that I was going through at the time. So then the video is kind of about like sleepwalking and lucid dreaming, and waking up and finding yourself in all these strange situations. What's cool is there was the outfit that everyone wore with the orange pants and the black button up and then the white thermal underneath. So then for years after that, fans would get together and all dress up in that same outfit and come to our shows together as just sort of like a uniform of solidarity. So that song came out on that Sound System album at a time when rap rock was huge, but then this song Flowing is more of like it's a shuffled, bouncing kind of hard rock, kind of a swing feel. So it was not what was going on at the time. At the time, there was all this rap rock, which we had been doing before that, but now we were onto something else. So we've always tried to not follow any trends. We just keep going forward. And that this song Flowing didn't sound like anything else on the radio, but it has come to be like a classic live song for us.
So where was that video filmed? It was in the train?
Around Los Angeles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was all on sets around LA. And the director, whose name escapes me now, I know he worked on like the show Dexter and did some like hardcore sort of murder shows. So he was fun to work with.
What has kept the band together for 30 years, Nick? Because, so many bands just fall apart. And one thing I want to tell you, one thing I admire about 311 is that I've never read any squabbles, nothing. I've read only good things. I've always seen positive things about, just continuous great music you release. But, what has kept the band going?
I like to say we keep an attitude of gratitude. We know that we're very fortunate to get to do what we do, and that we, stumbled on something special. So we take care of it. And to be in a band for 30 years, any kind of relationship, you have to be ready to not get your way and be flexible. And then but mostly just appreciating what you have and being ready to compromise and have good communication and be flexible. But, we have disagreements like anybody else, but, we've been able to just keep the big picture in mind of realizing how fortunate we are.
The name of the band 311, here in Asia, numerology is kind of a really big thing. I don't know whether you know anything about numerology?
Not much.
Okay. So tell us, how did the band come up with the name 311?
There was a short period of time when I went to Europe to just explore when I was 19 years old. And then Chad, our drummer, and Peanut, our bass player, started jamming together. And they had a band called Fish Hippos. And then they landed the gig of opening for Fugazi. And so I said, I'll come back. I'd love to be in the band and do this gig with you guys, but we got to change the name. I don't want to be the Fish Hippos. And Peanut, our bass player, said, well, how about the name 311? And I was like, I like it. I love it. And a number is very sort of Generation X, which had a lot of sort of, you didn't come right out and say what you left mystery, you know what I mean? And so there was a mystery to it. And then Peanut told me, well, 311 is the police code for indecent exposure, because my friend, who was the original guitarist in 311, got arrested for skinny dipping, which is where you go and swim naked in a public pool, like it's something that teenagers did. So he got arrested for that and brought home to his mother in handcuffs, and they gave him a ticket. And the code of the crime of indecent exposure was 311. So it was just like a funny backstory. But I just liked having a number because it had mystery to it, and you can come up with so many different, meanings for it. And then also the fact that it made a date, March 11th, where I understand in other parts of the world, November 3rd is 311. So, but here we celebrate March 11th as our special day. But Peanut is a little bit more into sort of mystical kind of things. And he told me once that 311 is a very male, or 3 is a very male number, and 11 is like a number meaning magic. So like males making magic. I don't know. But what's your interpretation?
Here in Asia, we do this numerology thing. And when I was doing the research on the band, and I said, like, we just take it for granted, 311, the name 311, 311. So, but then I thought, like, wow, because I use numerology for my business. It's an Indian thing because I'm half Indian. So, I have someone that helps me with my numbers, special dates like in the calendar month, or there are certain days you have to avoid making important decisions, signing contracts. So I just get the advisor, okay, no, don't do this on this date, do this on that date. And if you want to be really specific, you can really go down to within the day, the 24 hours, and every day has a planet. I'm not the expert on it, Nick, but I have someone advising me. But now that since we don't have the shows, we don't have to look for the correct time to put the shows on sale.
I would say you and Peanut could have an enjoyable talk, because he was very specific about the date he wanted to get married, even though it fell on a Thursday. He got married on a Thursday, which nobody does, but he wanted that particular number. So I think you have a kindred spirit there.
Yeah, it does kind of sort itself out in a strange way. When did you start celebrating this 311 day?
It just happened sort of by coincidence that when back around it was the year 2000, that we had a show that fell on March 11th. And we didn't really tell people at that time how we got the name. So people would say, it must be a really important date, right? And so they were like, hey, this is an opportunity. Let's play a really long show on this March 11th. We just happened to have a show in New Orleans at this old place called the State Theater, which was a beautiful old theater from the days of Louis Armstrong. And we had a very strong fan base, and still do, but New Orleans was one of the early places that really embraced 311. So let people know this is going to be a really special show. Let's play 3 hours and 11 minutes, and which was about twice as long as our normal show at that time. So it just kind of became like a legendary thing. And then we decided to do it every other year. So like this year was a 311 day year. So on even number years, we have a 311 day show. And on odd number years, we've been doing an event show, which is more of a destination show, which we've had the cruises. But now, of course, cruises aren't happening. So we're looking at different options of what we can do next year. But and then so that's how 311 Day started. And then now it evolved to be this last one that we did earlier this year, which were the last concerts to happen in America. We did the show in over 3 nights and played over 100 songs over those 3 nights. So it was basically like a completely immersive, you can get your total fill of 311 at that time. And people came from all over the world. Asia, we played over 100 songs, a lot of special things where we would play songs we've never played before, different covers. We did a Bob Marley song. I actually had my daughter, Echo, come out and join me on piano for a song, which was really super emotional for me to share the stage with my daughter. but yeah, we play a lot of rarities because these are like the most hardcore fans that come to this show. So there's, play songs we've never played before, and it's a lot of work, but it's so worth it because it's a very special experience.
30 years of 311, an incredible journey not only for the band, but also for the fans and the 311 community. Thank you, Nick Hexum and 311, for sharing your artistry and music that transcend any genre and generation. Now, from the band's backstories, we'll discover more from them in the second part of this episode. Next week, join us as Nick answers questions from fans around the globe. Now, if you're a new viewer to Words and Music and want to find out about upcoming guests and previous artists we have chatted with, you can go to our website at lamcproductions.com. And while you're there, follow us on our social media. Until next week, my name is Loretta Alabons for Words and Music.